This is Write What You Know, the storytelling program on Bizz 99.9 FM Substitute Radio. I'm your host, Geoff Walker. Welcome and thank you for joining me. Today, we will be reciting a short story called Growing Up in Bridgetown. Enjoy the story. Growing up in Bridgetown was rough. Father had just returned home, his journey of many months now over. With him came riches, tattered clothes no more, going to bed hungry no more. It was time to celebrate. A supermarket visit worthy of a family occasion. The offer too great to resist, the thought too great to wait. Very few families can go to the supermarket. Most can't. I myself had yet to ever set foot inside. Father's reluctance, or perhaps refusal, to let us in his shiny red Rolls-Royce meant that we would walk instead. And why shouldn't we? With our new moccasins father had bought us, walking was now at an ease, or even a pleasure. To get to the supermarket took a short walk through town. "Look, the whole town is broken down," Father said during our walk. "Every building is falling apart." "Please don't say those things," Mother asked him. We then needed to turn down a small dank alleyway, across the abandoned children's playground and through the open sewer courtyard. As we passed the courtyard, I noticed there was a group of men lying around in the supermarket's small garden, which is right next to the front door. Old, dirty, ripped, smelly clothes, unshaven, language I can't understand, lying amongst the tan bark, some of them asleep. Most of these men I couldn't recognize. They're the fathers of my friends. Mr. Gagger, Nathaniel's dad, was leaning against the concrete pole. Mr. Eckstein, Jacob's dad, was lying on the ground smoking an oddly shaped cigar. Mr. Tween, Mo's dad, was leaning against a tree with a bottle in his hand, with a strange smile as he drank. Mr. Colleen, who doesn't have a son or wife, was searching through the supermarket's huge trash dumpster. We got their attention through Father's outfit, a clean, bright blue blazer, ironed yellow shirt, bright pink pants, and his rainbow-coloured top hat. These men had rarely seen this type of fancy living clothes, bold and brash, almost dashing and intimidating. The air was filled with unusual smoke, much different to the smoke we have at home that comes from the fire we have to cook dinner on. This smoke made me cough violently, more of a splutter. As we approached the supermarket's movement-sensing doors, Mr. Colleen got out of the dumpster and walked up to us. He smelt of sour milk and old cat biscuits gone stale, and more weird smoke. "Can you spare some change, man?" he asked us, holding out his dirty, bloody, three-fingered hand. As he spoke, I noticed he was missing his front left tooth. At first, Father just stood still in silence, as if a verbal freeze had been put on him. Fists tightened, face tense, eyes shaking. He then turned slowly to Mother and said to her in a tone I hadn't heard him use before, "Get inside." Complying immediately, Mother rushed me inside the supermarket. She pushed me in too quick for me to enjoy going through the motion-sensing doors. "We'll be safe inside," she said. Back outside, some of the men in the garden began slowly getting up, brushing the bark off and then looking at Father. I was eager to keep watching what was happening, but Mother insisted, or maybe ordered or demanded, that I move away from the door and from view of Father. Refusal, and I kept watching. All the men from the garden were now standing, They walked over to Father, surrounding him. They continued to stare. Nobody moved for a while. Mr. Colleen did roll up his sleeves, despite his sleeves being almost all holes, but that was the only movement made. Suddenly something happened. Father quickly jumped straight up in the air, and before anyone could react, he punched Mr. Colleen in the face. Fist, face, contact, snap, crack. The blow sent Mr. Colleen down onto the asphalt ground, a short and uncontrollable wriggle of the arms and legs, almost childish, and then Mr. Colleen's body stopped moving. Father and all the other men were completely covered in red, their faces of absolute shock, lost. Nobody moved for a few seconds. Time for calm and to decrease the shock. Mr. Eckstein walked across the pavement and picked up the top half of Mr. Colleen's head. This piece included the forehead, ears, and hair. In a combination of surprise, confusion, and disgust, he said, "Ugh, dude." Father stood professionally at the men to show that the shock didn't affect him. The men backed off completely, some going back to their original activities, others pretending that Father's interest had left them. Father then entered the supermarket and we went shopping. Growing up in Bridgetown was rough. Welcome back. That was the short story Growing Up in Bridgetown. I'm Geoff Walker, and you've been listening to Write What You Know on Bizz 99.9 FM Substitute Radio. Please join me again next time for more short stories, poetry, and novel extracts. Till we meet again, take care and happy writing.